Wow, anything with disruption there. In the Middle East, and the government is announcing support there.
Singaporeans should be prepared that disruptions from the Middle East conflict will impact more sectors of the Republic's economy and lead to higher electricity and food prices, said Deputy Prime Minister Yong. He warned that the effects of the crisis are likely to intensify in the weeks ahead and persist for some time to come, as the government on April 7th announced nearly $1 billion in relief measures for households and businesses here. He said Singapore's economic growth in the coming quarters is likely to be affected by the conflict, while cost increases are expected to push the city-state's overall inflation for 2026 above earlier projections. These pressures will be felt by households in more expensive electricity, transport, and daily necessities, he said. Lower-income households will be more affected as a larger share of their spending goes towards essentials. About 2.4 million Singaporeans will receive an enhanced cost of living special payment, which will be increased by $200. Those eligible will get between $400 and $600 in September. To help workers who have been most affected, $200 in cash will be dispersed to active platform workers, private hire car drivers, and taxi drivers by end April.
As we import nearly all our energy, the spike in global oil and natural gas prices will inevitably raise fuel and electricity costs for Singapore. About 95% of Singapore's electricity is generated from natural gas, whose price is mostly pegged to market prices. The regulated electricity tariff, which most Singaporean households pay, increased by 2.1% to about 27 cents per kilowatt hour for the second quarter of 2026. The increase is modest relative to the spike in fuel prices. But that is because the tariff is based on fuel prices from the first 10 weeks of the preceding quarter, from January to middle of March. That means only a small portion of the recent surge in fuel prices has been captured in this tariff adjustment. Fuel makes up about half of the tariff, so higher fuel prices will flow through to electricity prices. We should therefore expect a much sharper increase in the next tariff adjustment, which will fully reflect the higher cost of fuel. These cost increases will feed through to broader inflation in Singapore. We had earlier forecast CPI all items and MAS core inflation to come in at 1 to 2% in 2026 after inflation broadly eased in 2025. However, the Middle East situation has driven up global energy and commodity prices, which will drive up global inflation. Consequently, we now expect Singapore's overall inflation for 2026 to be higher than earlier projected. While the conflict impacts many sectors, some sectors will feel it more than others. In manufacturing, the most direct impact will be on industries that rely on natural gas, crude oil, and crude oil derivatives as feedstocks. Our refineries have adjusted by reducing their run rates and brought in shipments from sources outside of the Middle East. Downstream chemical firms will also be affected. Some firms, such as PCS, have already declared force majeure due to upstream supply disruptions. Beyond the energy and chemical clusters, higher fuel and electricity prices will also affect a wider range of industries, including electronics, precision engineering, and other energy-intensive clusters. In services, outward-oriented sectors like air and sea transport, as well as tourism, will be affected by higher costs and weaker demand. On the other hand, domestically oriented sectors such as retail, food services, and private land transport will face higher operating costs, including utility and fuel. Taken together, these sectoral impacts will weigh on economic activities in the coming quarters, although the extent remains uncertain as the conflict is still unfolding. MTI will continue to monitor developments closely and will update our GDP forecasts in May.
Hey, hello friend, we come to the end already. Have you subscribed yet? Yes, press the subscribe button and the like button and the share button. Thank you and have a nice day.